Tonight on News Prime, President Tinubu declares state of emergency on food security. On the business, Federal Inland Revenue Service says tax incentives had to track. On the foreign scene, UK Foreign Secretary announces extra £120 million support for Sudan. On the sport news, Nigeria's first lady closes African Women's Volleyball Club. Hello and welcome to News Prime, live on Global Television, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Edikan Michael. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of a broadcast. Our President Bola Tinubu has declared a national emergency on food security, urging expanded irrigation infrastructures and the participatory water resource management nationwide. Tinubu made the declaration while opening the 6th African Regional Conference on Irrigation and Drainage in Abuja. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Nkrumah, the President urged African nations to adopt innovative strategies to addressing the continent's irrigation and water management challenges. Now, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has inaugurated a 21-member ad hoc committee tasked with overseeing the administration of Rivers State during the ongoing state of emergency, reaffirming the National Assembly's commitment to constitutional governance, transparency, and national unity. The committee is chaired by the House Leader, Professor Julius Iboere, with Ali Isai as the Deputy Chairman. Other members include Honorable Isiaka Ibrahim, Rep. Idris Ahmed Ouassey, Rep. Aliyu Mokhtar Abaitara, and Rep. Sadeh Soli. Rep. Speaking during the inauguration of the National Assembly, Speaker Abbas described the formation of the committee as a crucial step towards maintaining governance and public order in Rivers State following President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a 6-month state of emergency on March 18. In the meantime, the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas has reminded Rivers State Sole Administrator retired Vice Amira Ibogite Abbas that while the provision of the 1999 Constitution has amended, he must report to the National Assembly running the affairs of the all-rich state. The Speaker gave the charge in Abuja while inaugurating the House of Representatives ad hoc committee on Rivers State. The People's Democratic Party Governors Forum has expressed solidarity with the suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara amid his ongoing ordeal, including his suspension and the declaration of a state of emergency. The governor also met in Ibadan, Oyo State, urged the federal government to address the alarming insecurity across the country. Ramsey Anohabo has the details.
It is a convergence of state executives under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, and they have converged on Nigeria's southwest political capital, Ibadan, to deliberate on how best to reposition the nation's major opposition party ahead of future elections. The governors went into a closed-door meeting, after which they briefed the e-newsmen on the outcome of the resolutions reached during their meetings.
Speculation about the possible merger of political parties, groups, and/or associations, the forum resolved that the PDP will not join any coalition or merger. However, the PDP, as a major opposition party, welcomes any party, persons, or groups that are willing to join it with a view to wresting power and enthroning good leadership in 2027.
In addition, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) governors addressed issues relating to the smooth running of its party, while it also lamented what it termed the worsening security situation in parts of the country, calling on the federal government to look into the matter and check the needless loss of innocent lives.
The forum finds alarming the worsening security situation in the country, as evidenced in parts of the country, especially Borno, Plateau, Katsina, and Edo states. The forum calls for the review and reordering of priorities and strategies, including adopting a bottom-up template that guarantees the subnationals to constitute an effective line of defense against security breaches.
Present at the meeting were host Governor Sheyi Makinde, Governor of Bauchi State Bala Mohammed, Peter Mba of Enugu State, Agbu Kefat of Taraba State, Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, amongst others, while governors of Delta and Akwa Ibom states were represented by their deputies. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betogun, has paid a condolence visit to Plateau State following the deadly attacks in Basa local government area of the state that claimed the lives of dozens of residents. Following a series of tragic incidents that occurred in Basa local government area of Plateau State, resulting in the death of scores of residents, the IGP visited the state, accompanied by the senior officers. And our Imo State government says it is strengthening its healthcare sector by prioritizing the training and attitudinal reorientation of the frontline health workers. In a special report, our correspondent Amarachi Bara speaks with the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Success Prosper, on the state ongoing reforms to improve the primary healthcare delivery.
Out of renewed efforts to revive healthcare services across Imo State, the Imo State government has launched a robust capacity building program for frontline health workers in primary healthcare centers. The head commissioner, Dr. Prosper Onyara, says the initiative is not only improving technical competence but also instilling professionalism and service discipline. According to him, the program adopts a train-the-trainers model, allowing selected health workers to receive intensive training and return to their various centers to replicate the knowledge, ensuring statewide impact, especially at the grassroots.
We have also embarked, because capacity building is one of the things that we really need to understand that will help the health sector. So we embarked on capacity building of frontline health workers. This capacity building is not just for those who will be there. There will also be cascade capacity building. Those who have attended capacity building will go back to their health centers and do that.
Beyond technical skills, the initiative also targets behavioral issues. Dr. Onyara revealed that in the past, some health workers were seen engaging in inappropriate conduct, such as selling groundnuts during official hours. He emphasized that the government is addressing these challenges through continuous training, effective monitoring, and a renewed sense of accountability within the sector.
Changed the attitudinal behavior towards health care. In the past, when you go to some primary health centers, you see health workers selling granules and everything. But today, health workers are health workers for what they are in Imo State.
Dr. Onyara reaffirms the government's commitment to building a responsive and disciplined health system capable of delivering accessible, efficient, and people-centered services across Imo communities. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, Global TV News.
And our former Vice President and presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, has expressed sorrow and outrage over the recent wave of killings in Plateau and Borno State, describing the incident as a reflection of the worsening security situation in the country. In a strongly worded statement issued on his official X account, Atiku condemned the latest attack in the ZK community in Kimpire area of Kwali district, Basa local government area, Plateau State, where at least 47 persons were killed. The incident, which occurred on Sunday, comes on the heels of another deadly attacks in Boko's local government area. Now, in a related development, the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria has condemned the recent wave of violence in Plateau State, calling on the federal government to take immediate and decisive action to halt the crisis. In a statement issued in Kaduna, the council expressed concern over the tragic pattern of bloodshed that has devastated communities and robbed families of loved ones in the Plateau State. The council's demand for action comes on the heels of the President Bola Tinubu's condemnation of the latest attacks in Plateau State, which claimed the lives of over 40 citizens. Armed bandits have stormed Tuga Dada community in Moriki district's Zumi local government area of Zamfara State, killing one resident and abducting over 50 locals. The operations occurred around 3:30 a.m. with the bandits shooting sporadically at unsuspecting villagers before heading dozens away to an unknown location. Now, the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGAN, has accused the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation of allegedly frustrating the implementation of local government autonomy that's part of the Supreme Court ruling in favor of direct funding for all 74 local councils. Speaking ahead of the federal court hearing in Abuja, the Association Secretary General Mohammed Abubakar stated that NGF authority for the Central Bank of Nigeria to open uniform accounts for all local government undermines the spirit of the court decision. Abubakar said the Supreme Court clearly affirmed that local government are an independent sphere of government. Watching the live broadcast of News Prime, where News Prime returns Nigeria's first lady closes African Women's Volleyball Club Championship. We'll bring those details plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Welcome back and on to Business News. The Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedaji, says revenue lost to tax expenditure remains difficult to quantify due to poor data availability across relevant government agencies. Adedaji made this known while delivering a keynote speech at the 2025 Tax Expenditure Workshop organized by the Tax Expenditure Management Unit of the FIRS Corporate Services Group in Abuja, noted that the tax incentives are not properly weighed against their real economic benefit, which makes it hard to determine their true costs and creating room for unverified tax expenditure figures in different quarters. Another is a looming power outrage in Nigeria's power generation company threatening its showdown. Chairman of the board of trustee of the power generation company, retired Colonel Sani Bello, revealed this to journalists in Abuja. This follows a surge in unpaid debts from the federal government and other market operators to over 4 trillion naira. More on business. The latest Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority supply tracker indicates that import of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, have plunked from 44.6 million liters a day in August 2024 to over 14.7 million liters by 13 April 2025, a fall of roughly 30 million liters or 67%. Now, the authorities of Chief Executive Officer Farouk Ahmed disclosed to State House correspondent during the 6th edition of the MIF, the press briefing series organized by the Presidential Communications team at the Astro Rock Villa, Abuja. The Central Bank of Nigeria has cautioned deposit money banks against sourcing capital from the illicit channels as part of the ongoing rehabilitation exercise, noting that such actions could destabilize the financial system. I was speaking at the 36th Finance Correspondent Association of Nigeria and the Business Editors Seminar held in Abuja. The Director of Banking Supervision of the Regulatory Bank, Dr. Olubakola Akiwomi, said the institution will enforce strict verification processes to ensure compliance. And now, wrapping up with the foreign scene, Sudan has entered its second year of a war that has killed tens of thousands, displacing 13 million, and triggering the world's worst humanitarian crisis with no sign of abating. A British Foreign Secretary David Lammy said in London that officials from around the world were meeting to agree a pathway to end the suffering in the Northeast African nation. Where has the rest of the story?
Secretary Lammy announced a £120 million in support of Sudan, but also established that there is a far more fundamental issue that requires urgent attention if the crisis must be brought to an end.
And today I'm announcing a further £120 million worth of support. But the biggest obstacle is not a lack of funding or texts at the United Nations. It's a lack of political will.
The British envoy noted that with the conflict spreading beyond Sudan's borders, the rest of the world cannot afford to turn its back against the nation at this point.
For their sake, we cannot resign ourselves to inevitable conflict. We cannot be back here 1 year from now having the same discussion. So today, let's show them and the world that we've not given up on them. We've not given up on Sudan.
Fighting erupted on April 15, 2023 between the regular army led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces headed by his former deputy Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. Uyi Agbomofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
And our President Donald Trump has threatened to strip Harvard of its tax-exempt status after elite U.S. university refused to accept the far-reaching policy changes ordered by the White House. Trump had already moved to freeze $2.2 billion of federal funds in retaliation for the top university's defense of the administration push to bring campuses to heel. Trump said Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity if it does not submit to demands for the college to change the way it runs itself, including selection of students and authority for professors. And now to sport news. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has officially closed the 2025 African Women's Volleyball Club Championship after a thrilling final that saw Egypt's Zamalek club emerge champions for the third consecutive time. The closing ceremony held in Abuja marked the end of a 14-day tournament that brought together 16 elite clubs from across the continent in a vibrant showcase of volleyball talent and athletics. Estimation by the First Lady Senior Special Assistant and Media Bosola Koke says Oluremi Tinubu, who is also the grand patron of the championship, led dignitaries and sport enthusiasts to witness the grand finale. And now the first ever Cheese Masters tournament scheduled to take place in Lagos will bring together over 500 young players from over 100 of skills for African largest scale cheese tournament, competing for more than 5 million naira in prize money. Now, the inaugural Cheese Masters tournament is open to primary school children aged 6 and 11 years across Lagos who are eager to challenge themselves, think critically, and compete at the highest level. Now, more than just a competition, Cheese Masters is believed to be the launch pad for a bold new vision, a Pan-African movement leveraging cheese as a tool for education, empowerment, and leadership development. Wrapping up with sport, the Nigeria Boxing Federation has announced the adoption of the newly approved World Boxing Weight category for the forthcoming 22nd National Sport Festival scheduled to hold in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Now, this competition advisory issued to all concerned stakeholders that the Federation clarifies that as an affiliate of the IOC that recognized World Boxing, it's bound by the statutes and regulations of the International Federation. The clarification comes after several state coaches, including Niger State Boxing head coach Ismaila Rajid, expressed confusion over which weight categories will be used for the sport festival after presenting the two different categories in a message directed to Secretary General Olalekan Fasini. As we wrap up the news prime, let's take a look at the top stories. We told you that President Bola Tinubu has declared a national emergency on food security, urging expanded irrigation infrastructure and participatory water resource management nationwide. On the besides, the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedaji, says revenue lost to tax expenditure remains difficult to quantify due to the poor data availability across relevant government agencies. And from the foreign scene, Sudan has entered its second year of the war that has killed tens of thousands, displacing 13 million, and triggering the world's worst humanitarian crisis with no sign of abating. And finally, in sport, first Lady Loremi Tinubu has officially closed the 2025 African Women's Volleyball Club Championship after a thrilling finale that saw Egypt's Zamalek Club emerge champions. And that's our package here on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us on all streaming platform shown on the screen at Global TV. And you can also download the Global TV Nigeria app for your Android and iOS devices to keep track with our broadcast. On behalf of the entire production team, we say thank you for joining us here on News Prime. My name is Edikan Michael. We do hope to have you join us again. Bye-bye for now.